What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman. Now, the next couple of days here at the channel are going to be extremely exciting and very interesting as we're working directly with industry insider Mikey Sutton on a ton of his brand new scoops and exclusives. Today's video, no different. In an exclusive he dropped last night, details that paint a vignette for the very first X-Men villain in the MCU, and what's more, how they may be introduced in a setting that we've absolutely never seen before on the silver screen. We're going to break this all down, issue the normal spoiler warning, talk a little bit about what's coming up and Mikey Sutton and everything that's involved in this report on the X-Men in the MCU. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button, we're giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, the next of which we're announcing at the end of this video for the 650 sub count winner, as well as this insane 1/4 scale XM Studios Beta Ray bill. If you want to be entered to win, all you have to do, hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video, and if you want, stick around to the end of the video. We'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. So first up, the normal spoiler warning with a bit of an addendum as it applies to Mikey Sutton, industry insiders as a whole, and this video. You guys are always asking me where I rank the strength of a leak. When it comes to industry insiders in general, if they're willing to put their name on it, that's a different set of reverence than if it's just random and or anonymous somewhere on Reddit or 4chan. And specifically in the case of Mikey Sutton, who is a friend here at the channel, he's been right, and especially a lot recently. This is the guy who leaked Spider-Man was going to be in Civil War before the rest. So the spoiler warning, if this is in any way going to ruin the future of your experience with the X-Men in the MCU, as we are going into some rather deep details as to how the X-Men could be introduced, which begs the question as to why you clicked on this video. Either way, you might want to back out now. Now, this is coming directly from Mikey Sutton as he provided it to me after his exclusive dropped last night. We're going to read through it word for word. Professor X isn't the only scientific genius Marvel Studios will be adding once formerly Fox properties begin to appear in the MCU. Mikey Sutton initially reported Savage Land will be featured in an upcoming X-Men movie for Marvel Studios in November of 2019. He has received additional, albeit tentative, plot details what could possibly function as the second X-Men film. His name is Dr. Carl Lykos, an old college chum of Professor X, and he mysteriously disappeared while on an expedition. Joined by his mutant students, Professor X searches take him to Savage Land, where he is shocked to discover that Lykos has changed, transformed into a pterodactyl-like being who now calls himself Sauron. This is an early basic premise for what would evolve into a polished storyline that will draw influence from both its comic roots and the X-Men animated series from the 90s. Sutton included appearances from Khazar and Shauna in his original scoop, and both are being discussed to appear here as Lykos' friends before he becomes Sauron. However, Sauron is not considered to be the main foe in the little world of dinosaurs. No, the main guy is the one who changed Lykos into Sauron. Welcome Mr. Sinister to the MCU, and the little 11-year-old kid who is probably holding a Mr. Sinister X-Men Hasbro 5-inch figure while I was watching the 90s cartoon of the X-Men in Savage Land literally just did a backflip on the inside. Now listen, there's a lot of details to unpack here, and obviously the introduction of Mr. Sinister into the MCU is much bigger news than the introduction of Sauron as a small-time villain in the first movie, but honestly, we can't skip over that. It put me immediately in mind of the cover of Marvel Fanfare 1. That's a fan favorite. I'm sure a lot of you guys remember it. It's the cover where Sauron is actually carrying Spider-Man. Now, I'm working off back knowledge, having actually read these when I was a kid, having them been passed down from my dad, and I'm sure if I'm wrong, you guys will correct me down in the comments, but if I remember correctly, there's stories from X-Men in the Savage Land, I think through the first 5 or 6 issues in Marvel Fanfare. It's all in there, and how amazing it would be when you start to think about all of the leaks we've heard about Spider-Man 3, about him being on the run, possibly somewhere in, well, they're filming in Greenland, and then you think about what Savage Land is. For those of you guys who need a little contextualization, Savage Land is a prehistoric reserve in Antarctica. That's why it's able to exist without people really knowing about it or accessing it. Perhaps there's a Spider-Man crossover question mark. Now that's a reach and pure speculation, as well as this being so far down the line for Marvel Studios. You have to remember this would be the earliest parts of pre-production, not even in development yet, just them talking about this at the studio and trying to figure out what they want to do. And you also have to think about one key detail that adds a lot of support to a claim like this. You have to remember what Marvel Studios has done with Spider-Man specifically in the MCU, something that's already been done before. And you look at the X-Men and you have to think that they're in for the same sort of thing. They don't want to do anything that's been done before. Not the same origin stories, definitely not the same narrative and plot lines, and for sure not the same villains. Which leads us directly to what's probably the biggest part of this leak and a huge banger that's dropped right at the end. Mr. Sinister introduced as the main villain now against the X-Men, the first real villain, as Sauron would be sort of a one-off along the way. Now, he's an original X-Men villain stemming all the way back to the 80s, first introduced in Uncanny X-Men number 212, and who he's mentioned by is going to have everybody very excited, none other than the foe and adversary to Wolverine himself, Sabretooth. And you start to think about all of these moving parts working together now. Savage Land having the original cast or something close to it, that includes Wolverine going against Sabretooth, how these all work together. It sort of makes me giddy on the inside, and it's an understanding that I think really we've already seen before from Marvel, and this is sort of going to be a loose tie-in with what happened with Guardians of the Galaxy. They were able to strike a vintage chord there using retro music, something that felt good and endeared us to it, sort of gave us the Star Wars feel without it. And I'm not to say that James Gunn in any way invoked Star Wars in that movie and all. I don't think that. I think it's something quite different, but what he was able to do was appeal to a sort of nostalgia in people that I think Marvel Studios is onto here. They know what the X-Men meant to a lot of us, especially via that animated cartoon. And you have to think, for those of us who are a little bit younger, who sort of missed the general age of comics, not for me, but the generation behind me, whose introduction to the X-Men was really that animated cartoon. They may not have read the source material, but this is their earliest memory. If Marvel can somehow strike that chord in a Savage Land movie, give us the feels of the animated show the way we remember them, then they're going to be cashing in on a ton of purchase power that's already built up in a Marvel property. And to be honest, this was an argument I made real recently, actually on an interview I'll make sure to link, that just went live today, when someone asked me about what's going on with superhero movies, the genre in general, and I made sure to mention, I think what happened here was superhero movies didn't take over movies. It's just that when we got a good one, when we got an actual Marvel Cinematic Universe, you got an influx of comic book fans, an influx of Marvel fans that had always been there, that just started also supporting this part of cinema. So it wasn't that it stole viewers and fans from somewhere else, it was that the source material had such a strong fan base that we were all drawn to this when it was finally done justice on film. And that is where we find ourselves today, with the X-Men property finally back over at Marvel. For them to do anything they want with it, you can be sure they're not going to run out the third version of the Dark Phoenix saga or anything like it. Guys, let me know everything you think down in the comments below. How crazy would it be to actually see something like we saw Savage Land in the cartoon in live action? And do you agree with this line of introduction doing something completely different? How hype are you for the introduction of Mr. Sinister? We're going to get into the implications of that in a totally different video, but as always, leave all your thoughts down below. And quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go announce the next winner for the 650 PlayStation Pro, as well as some other administrative stuff for the upcoming stories this weekend. Okay, first off, guys, 650,000 subscribers. This is absolutely insane. We've given away countless PlayStations here at the channel, especially this year alone, and we're just going to keep doing that even until they start putting out the PlayStation 5, which they will this year. And when they do that, we'll start giving that one away as well. But the winner for the 650 sub count PlayStation 4 Pro is Gabriel T. Garcia. In Marvel I Trust, they'll know how to fit Deadpool in, and I'm sure it'll be fantastic. Your comment 6 days ago on the Deadpool announcement video, if you could, go ahead and DM me on Instagram at IamFires, or go ahead and email me at my business email you can find on the back end of the channel. Guys, also, just to save me some time and you some time as well, we always have about 10 to 20 people who try to claim these prizes. We have an elaborate coding system. I've already marked this account as the winner. He'll enter a code to verify that it's actually him before I get his address, so just save yourself some time. Don't try to claim this prize. It's become old and it's not going to work. Also, video, we're giving away this insane XM Studios 1/4 scale Beta Ray Bill statue. Now, if you guys not into collectibles, if you're not familiar with these statues, this is not an action figure. This is not a toy. This is almost 3 feet, well, closer to like 2.5 feet tall, almost 30 inches, an insane replica, museum quality. These things are quite astonishing, especially if you've never seen one in person. So at the 750,000 subscriber mark, we're going to give one of those away, as well as 2 PlayStation 4 Pros at the 700 mark, like we always have. If you want to be entered to win any of the stuff here at the channel, all the same rules apply. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video. The more videos you like and comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of the video, just like this. And if you've missed those previous and winner announcements, no worries. All you have to do is scroll back to the channel, look for the winner announcement and the sub count in the title. Now guys, some quick stuff. We're going to have some awesome scoops for you coming in the next couple of days, including an absolute doozy on Saturday, an exclusive from Mikey Sutton. It's going to rock your world, as the kids say. The kids haven't said that for decades, but hey, who cares? Listen, make sure to check back for that on Saturday, as well as if you guys are ever on Twitch, if that's a platform you find content, I've been streaming overnight Eastern Standard Time, like super late. We've been doing it a lot, and it's actually grown quite fast. So if you want to come join me over there, it's pretty fun. If you're already on Twitch, make sure to stop by. I stream under my gamer tag, which is Nvellen, Nvellen, and you get to interact on a lot more personal level than just the comment section here on YouTube. Now, I also just did an interview with a band friend of mine, the Fox Trot and the Get Down. They have their own podcast. I did a full in-depth interview. We talked everything from the channel to Marvel and some other stuff, music, light sports. If you guys are interested in that sort of stuff, or just a deeper look at who I am or what's going on, you can also follow that link down below. I'll make sure to pin it in the comments and the description to hear that interview here on YouTube. And they're a brand new podcast, so if you wouldn't mind maybe throwing them a like or a subscribe, you know, hey, if the EA family could show them some love, that would mean the world to me. Guys, thanks so much for checking out the channel. Thanks so much for hanging out. Come find me over on Twitch. Stick around for the awesome exclusives coming in the next day. And everybody be safe out there. Peace, love, and Spider-Man.